Hi everyone, I am Sebastian Alpha and this is somewhat of a forever project, my YouTube channel, and it seems I get these stops and starts and so forth. I can be a very positive person on a normal day, very like everything is upbeat and so forth, but then there are these slumps in mood when money comes in question. I sort of go very much into myself again, and I pretty much hate myself for everything that I have failed to do in life. Having said that, I do always remind myself that I have actually accomplished something more important than having a financial success, but it would have been nice to be making enough money to support myself. Unfortunately, there's a lot of spiritual aspects about why I'm being held to a very embarrassing level of income, which is basically nothing, as in I've lived on unemployment checks my whole life, and with very short bursts of employment in between, and I'm really good with saving money. So I'm really tight with money, as in in both senses. Money is tight, and I'm tight with money, as in I can survive on a very little amount of money, and it hasn't really bothered me until maybe hitting 40 or so. It started to feel like this is not going to be, like I'm not going to do well in life. Like it sort of hit perhaps at around that time that it's not going to happen. Now I'm 50 and I live back in my parents' house, and it's not, well, we get along, like it's not bad, like in the sense that we wouldn't get along. In fact, I was ready to never talk to my parents again, and the fact that I'm here is quite extraordinary really, but I'm not entirely sure I should have come, but here I am anyway. I don't think I'm gonna be using tarot in this reading, at least not much, this video at least not much, but if I get stuck I may have a peek. But I wanted to tell you about a revelation we had, me and my soulmates who are always with me, like yesterday I think, and it was sort of to explain why I wound up in this situation, and how the miscommunication between yourself and the universe can cause some of this. At the end of the day, everyone always gets 100% of what they want, no questions asked. So there is always that flip around, like there is always on the other side you get what you wanted, even if the method of delivery is not what you wanted. And the higher wish will win the argument. So I have been chasing divine knowledge for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And this lifetime, I believe I was so close to the answer, the final realization, that I allowed myself to be pushed into a situation where all I could basically do is think. And I know that around 2000 I was sort of called to do this work, but at the time I felt like I was in the middle of a party basically, and I didn't have time for God at the time. or divine knowledge, which wasn't yet a conscious thought in my head at the time. And I started only in 2012, which is quite a while ago, and that's when I sort of became aware that this is what I needed to do. And up to that point I had like odd jobs here and there, but very, very few. But I was chasing this feeling that I had something that I needed to do, and that somehow it was related to the internet. I'm not sure if it is, but it's a good thing that I have collected all the knowledge that I had of the internet so far. Like I can basically run a operation by myself from coding to website management, graphics and 3D design and whatnot. If it's on the computer, I can pretty much do it if I need to do it. And I have been avoiding employment my whole life, and the reason being that I was too busy working. So I have a place where I need to be, and every time I even think about getting a job, I get this very strong feeling, like a weight coming in. Please don't. And that's how I basically lived up until this point. Now yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, we had another conversation which we are having constantly with my spirit guides. I developed this concept of dog thinkers and cat thinkers that I haven't yet mentioned on this channel, but this is part of the work that I've been doing. We have a fundamental difference in thinking with, or I should call them back thinkers. I decided a couple of days ago, but I just forget, because there is like bird thinkers, dog thinkers and cat thinkers, I decided, and flock and dog packs think bird flocks and dog packs think differently to cat thinkers who are independent and solo artists. And so the pack or flock thinkers, they, particularly in the dog thinking category, what they need to do is to find themselves a leader. And the leader is always responsible for everything that happens in that pack. Dogs don't want to be the leader because it is a very high responsibility job. Everybody's life is on you and your head. And they have a instinctive drive to fight over the leader spot, but they don't want it. So everyone who feels capable, they need to fight for the top dog position. A cat thinker will not do this because they are a solo artist, so they will go their own way, but the dog thinkers may pull them back because they feel like you are capable, you should be leading our pack. And the cat thinker doesn't understand this dynamic because they don't think that way. And if your responsible parent is of the different thinker type than yourself, you know that you're going to run into problems in life. And my mom is a very strong dog, whereas I am a very strong cat. So what happens is that when I think to myself that I want a easygoing life and make money easily, I want to be paid for being who I am rather than performing a role in a company, such as a YouTube influencer or YouTuber or a personality, as in I keep talking because I am who I am, I know stuff, and and I can guide people, oddly enough, considering I'm so lost myself. But but all these things come into this pile. At the same time, I'm looking for divine information, like divine knowledge. At the same time, I want to experience true love. Lots of stuff that I wanted. And if your list of wishes is that complicated, there's going to be a little bit of doing and throwing as to how does the universe going to bring you all that, because it's going to, because there is one fundamental universal law. Everyone will always get everything that they want 100% of the time. Delivery times and methods vary. So, universe had a lot of thinking to do. Now, the primary drive in my life has always been the divine knowledge. And secondly, psychology. In a parallel importance, there is romance. And those things then seem not to be very well compatible, but they should be. And because my divine knowledge didn't really start up until I made a connection to my true emotion in spirit. But when you go around thinking I want easy money or easy life, whatnot, a cat thinker thinks that I want my work to pay off, as in I want to do something that I enjoy. I want to do something that feels meaningful, something that feels like me, authentically me, and I want money to keep rolling in. A dog thinker is thinking, oh, they don't want to be the leader. They want to pretend to be incapable, so they don't need to lead the pack. With the same thought, a dog thinker will make a different conclusion than a cat thinker. And what do you know it? Your thoughts are being monitored by your soulmates who want to make your dreams come true. So this whole thing is like a collaboration of different spirits who care about you, but they are human spirits and they will interpret you incorrectly sometimes. And if your family members and if the people who care about you the most happen to be dog thinkers, which is entirely possible because they are very loyal and they are very, very interested in other people's things, unlike cat thinkers are very independent, so they are mostly focused on themselves and their own path, and they don't necessarily even notice the dog thinkers who are present in there because they don't think that they are that interested in you as much as you're not interested in them. So you don't even know how to fight back because you don't realize that they are there. So, and even if you did, you wouldn't necessarily have the words to describe to them that what it is that you want, because another thing that dog thinkers do is that they don't ever say things directly. They will put on a show and they will put on a dance, they will demonstrate this and demonstrate that, but you have to guess what's going on with them. So they also interpret you as if you were doing an interpretive dance, as in they will listen to you, and whatever you say to them, they are going to think, okay, well, that's not it. Whatever else it might mean, it might be something else, but we can certainly say that whatever they said out loud and directly is not the answer, is not the message that they are actually trying to put forward. So they are going to be reading between the lines, even though you try very much not to leave anything between the lines. Cat thinkers put something else in between the lines, which is, I don't like you, go away. Cat thinkers put that stuff between the lines, whereas dog thinkers very much do not. And thinkers tell you straight away if they don't like you or they ignore you, so that you will definitely get the message. If a dog thinker doesn't want you around, you will know of it, but a cat thinker will very much dilly-dally around it and put it in between the lines. But dog thinkers will never say out loud what they want. It's like their biggest held secret is what they actually want out of life. So when a cat thinker says that this is what I want, or if they even think about it in clear terms in their head, the dog thinker will interpret it as something completely different than what you actually think. And so my mom has been terrified that somebody will find out that I'm actually intelligent and capable. Since I want this dependent life, as in I look, according to her, I want this. And this is spirit level stuff. This is not like if you would ask her in person, I don't know what she would say. I ultimately genuinely don't know what she would say that I want out of life. But she would more than likely assume that I don't want anything, that my direction is, there is no direction in my life. I think she would say she hasn't decided, or she can't really get started, or something to the effect she would say. But in spirit she believes that I have this one fear, that I would have to lead the pack if people understood what I'm like. I don't fear that, and a cat thinking leader is not very good leader for dog thinkers anyway, but I do want to lead cat thinkers who are very much independent thinkers, so they don't really need the leader per se. They need somebody to ignite a thought, and then they take it for them. They could be something like they see one video and they're like, oh my god, my life changed, and they just run off with it, which is exactly the way I like things to work, because I'm a cat thinker. So I want things to be sudden, intuitive, fast, and life-changing, and like massive events with the smallest amount of effort. Whereas a dog thinker wants to often pretend to be busy. If they don't want actual roles, they often pretend to be busy, or they pretend to be completely incompetent because they don't want that role. So there is that, like, either they fight for the leadership position hoping to lose the battle, or they are pretending to be a complete loser. So what my life looks like is exactly that. I pretend to be a complete loser and complete waste of air, basically. But at the same time, I'm trying to get my head above the water, and I'm failing to do it, because every time I get somewhere close, I get this nudge to pull my head back in, as in you're getting too much attention, you're waving, making too many waves and so forth. Go back and go hide in a bush somewhere, whatever. People are gonna notice. People are gonna take notice. So now I have understood, like, mom and myself, it's basically my mom and everybody who mom has convinced that this is what I mean, because she knows me. Obviously she's my mother, so she has a lot of influence in how people interpret with me, which is very harmful as far as I'm concerned. But at the same time, I needed to be unknown and the internet's best kept secret for 50 until my 50 years, and now I needed the time to think. I needed it personally for my own future lifetimes, which I am absolutely convinced that everybody is reincarnating endlessly into this world. And I was very much done by 30 I felt like I just wanted to basically rush to I wasn't suicidal, but I just wanted, the next interesting thing that I could think about was my funeral. And now I can't wait to live for the rest of the eternity, like as if there was such a thing, but you get the idea. I am very much looking forward to my future lifetimes and planning them out, because you can actually plan your future lifetimes. You can decide what it is that you want to experience. And I think we often think of our youth rather than what's going to happen next. I don't know if what's going to happen next is somewhat of a surprise for ourselves based on what we want to do in youth, but I don't know. I seem not to be getting much further than 25 or something, and then I go like, I don't know. But yeah, you can certainly try and do better on that front than I do, and see where that goes. Like, if you happen to be getting like at that age when the next interesting thing truly is your funeral, I would spend that time very much thinking about your future, like you were 10 rather than 80. And I would take all of your knowledge so far, all of your regrets and all of that, and just say, you know what, I should have. This is what I could have done. This is what I should have done. This is what if I would get another chance, this is what I would do with my life. That is a retirement well spent. Like this, if you do nothing else in your retirement, that would be your number one thing to do, is to plan for your future. Sounds funny, but that's what you should do. But I'll ask Tarot if Tarot has any questions for me, or Tarot can add any questions for me. What's with the gold? Yeah, sometimes healing looks like unfollowing and moving on, as in I have made one weird spiritual realization that besides love, money is the most important thing in life. And this is somewhat similar to a previous incarnation who sort of famously remarked towards the same notion. And I think that there might be a attempt to prove me wrong, that you can be happy without money, but that's not the point. You can be happy without money, sure, but if you can be happy without money, you will be extraordinarily happy with money. And it's just that I think that if people would understand money a little bit differently, they would stop hating it and go blaming it for everything. Money, if you would call it favor points, if you would call money favor points, you understand instantly what it's about, why it is so handy. Someone does you a favor, and you give them favor points for it, so that they can ask another person for an equal amount of favors as you've done for somebody else. You would stop giving money away like it was a thing, if they were favor points. Like, what have you done for me? Nothing. Okay, do something for me first, and then I'll give you favor points for it. You would stop accepting favors from a person without giving them favor points in return. And it's even like favor points should be given to a person without having to get them from somewhere else first. But in this economy, the way it works is that you have to get favor points from another person before you can give them over to somebody else. But still, you realize that those who have done the most for people should have the most money, quite logically. And it doesn't happen because we call it money. So yeah, I have very much changed my attitude towards wealth. Like, I have very much decided that I'm never going to be poor again. This is absolute BS. It doesn't make you happier, it doesn't make you more spiritual. Maybe it does make you more spiritual, but spirituality is overrated. So I'd much rather do something fun than spiritual from now on. But maybe there is a point where that you just have to see it before you can enjoy it properly. And like, maybe you have to enjoy the emptiness for a while, like do the empty thing before realizing that you need to understand the point. And then once you understand the point, then you can enjoy life again, which is what it's meant for. It is entertainment for immortal spirits, in case you didn't know what physical life, the purpose of physical life is to be entertainment for immortal spirits. Because otherwise we would get bored shitless. So okay, this is the unattainable is no longer unattainable. As in, what used to be beyond my reach now feels like I am so cautious of taking good news these days. What it feels like is that it is is attainable now. Like, what used to be unattainable is now attainable because they've got the information that they were looking for, so that now they can plan my life towards what I'm actually asking for. And they keep saying that I'm never happy. Like, I'm happy, but I'm always displaced in my incarnations, that I do believe that to be true. So my soulmates have been working double time to try and understand me. And I guess I should be grateful, but in some sense I just wish that they would have left me to it. Like, I can make myself happy on my own. Like, I can do this on my own, I feel. And the fact that there is so many helpful spirits around me have absolutely destroyed my ability to be happy. And or satisfied, like grateful, joyful about what I've received. So that's somewhat a nasty thing to say, considering that I know that these people in spirit have worked really hard to understand what it is that I actually want in life. And the answers were always so freaking simple to me. Like, to me it felt like it's an obvious thing. I want a romance and everyone to fuck off. Like, everyone else to fuck off, leave me to it. And the divine knowledge, of course, I want to understand everything, so there's that. But I could have worked on that on the side while enjoying my romance, and that's basically it. So, and what the nature of the romance is between myself and the men who I'm interested in having a romance with, but it is now multiple. It never used to be a multiple, but now it's a multiple. So there you go. As it turns out, there are something I figured this morning or this afternoon is that it is up to the girls to decide what kind of a sexual relationship and romance you want, or at least, what kind of sex do you want? It's up to the girl to decide what kind of sex you want. Your guys are going to deliver whatever it is that you want. They don't care. They will do anything. Satan gives you a point on that one. Which one? Okay, I don't know. Satan is the god of pleasure, right? Basically. And Satan is a cat thinker. Our Christian God is a dog thinker. And I don't believe that Satan is an embodiment of evil anymore. In spirit, we have conversations, and I wind up agreeing with him more often than I wind up agreeing with Satan in every point. Basically every point. And he has in mind, he said, I'm going to possess this. If you're not going to say what I need you to say, I'm going to possess you to say it. She says it with humor, because he is actually very funny. He's saying that I've ruined him, as in I have cured his need to be as vindictive as he has been, because he has wanted to punish people for hypocrisy and everything else, and now he's just like, well, why do I bother? Like, people are so different that it doesn't really matter. And he used to be so angry with people who were what he saw was being evil or two-faced or hypocritical, because demons hate hypocrisy more than Jesus does. Like Jesus mentioned in some context that hypocrisy is the highest sin, and in that the demonic folk couldn't agree more. So we are, cat thinkers are very vigilant of their own hypocrisy at all times. So even when I'm talking to Satan, he often goes into the and checks himself for whether he is or isn't in the position of judging. And I am very much in good terms on both sides of the equation, and as such makes me somewhat of an anomaly. But there you go. I know that there's people who will feel shocked that somebody might be in good terms with Satan without calling themselves a devil worshipper. We are very much friends with Satan and also with Jesus. God and I not really in terms like dog thinkers don't hate anybody. There is one thing that you can say about all dog thinkers, and God included. They do not hate people. They don't hate anybody. You can be absolutely most loathsome human being and they will not hate you. They don't know the meaning of the word. Cat thinkers, however, we do. And if you understand what hate means in terms of you mean nothing to me, but I still hate you. The closest thing to a dog thinkers hate is that I hate you because you don't love me, as in I hate you because you're not taking care of me, even though I believe that you should. That is the closest thing a dog thinker comes to a hate, but cat thinkers, we can hate people impersonally, as in even though they haven't done anything specifically to us, we can still hate them for having been a bad person to someone else. And that's how Satan operates. He can also trick you, or used to when he was still in business. He would first trick you into a deal and then punish you for it, as you know. So he was pushing people towards God from here, and Jesus is pushing the people towards God from here. So they were very much playing for the same team, but God didn't see it that way, it seems. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, okay, that looks a trashy but a walkable staircase. I've had repeated dreams of broken staircases my whole life, basically, or my whole adult life. Not so much recently, but the symbolism is still very much visible in my cards, and I have multiple broken staircase cards in it to see the different stages of walkability. So this is a solid staircase, albeit a little bit rubby, like dirty, as in, what is it? You can see it yourself. So yeah, it's a good sign. Very soon, scary school soon. Get ready. I hope so. We were just talking about like when the twin flame true emotion mirror in context of true emotion mirror union, as in when is it about to happen. And I think the answer is whenever you got your shit sorted out. Whatever it is that you have to figure out before you get together, because there is something in your relationship that is keeping you apart, and you have to figure it out what it is. But it can also be something as simple as you believe that you will get to be loved only after you're a good enough person. And that's not what it is. It is not a reward. It's just love is not something that you earn per se. It is a involuntary reaction to someone who another person feels to be lovable, and it is rarely about the things that you do right. It is that too, but that's how you get approval. You get love by being a baddie. You get approval for being good. You get love for being bad. So the approval is sort of like the baseline. Okay, we're gonna check that you are good enough as a human being, and then we love you for the bad stuff, that like the naughty bits, the disobedience of you. The thing that makes you who you are is the disobedient bit, the things you enjoy and you would do anyway, even if it costs you love and approval, and you do it anyway. That's the part that people will love. The people who will love you, that's the part that they will actually love. Anyway, I think that's enough for this, and yeah, that's my excuse. See you another time. Bye.